Hi and welcome back. We're on day 2 of Zagreb Digital Nomad Week at Bizkoshnica co-working space. This morning we enjoyed Mandy France from Make Believe Digital. And next up, all the way in Manly, Australia, that's Sydney, for those who don't know where Manly is, we have Taki Moore, $1 Million Coach. Taki, are you here?
Yeah, I feel like I'm here.
Thank you.
How you doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. So we have some people in person here in Zagreb, and we have a bunch of people online. And a quick reminder, if you're watching this on a live stream on YouTube or Facebook, hop in is the interactive experience because this one will be very interactive. We'll have chats going on. So, Taki, how many times have you been to Croatia?
Feels like 3 or 4. I never want to leave, so they kind of blur. At least 3, maybe 4, but I think it's probably 3.
Great. So when is 4? If it's up to 4 or 5, when's the next one?
Oh man, if it was up to me, I'd be there tomorrow morning. The Australian government has got us all very locked down because of this corona thing, and none of us are allowed to leave the country except to New Zealand. So it's a little bit crap right now. We spent, Tanya, we spent 3.5 years traveling around the world, me and 4 of the 6 kids, and Croatia was one of our go-tos every year to finish off the European summer. From Split, sailing to Zagreb, all over. We miss it super bad. My wife and I have gone crazy.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to have you back here, but thank you for joining us virtually. It's the next best thing. And you're in a beautiful part of the world too, so it's not that bad. We want to hear a bit about your story, so I'm going to hand over completely to you. And just a reminder to people who are tuning in, we will be answering as we go. We're not saving questions to the end, so jump on the chat, give us the questions that you have of Taki, and thank you for your time, and handing it over to you in Manly.
Hey, thank you so much. Hey, listen, I've got the app here, so I'd love to see the chat as it comes through live. Does anyone know on the Hop-In app, do I see that on the stream page or someplace else? I just love to be able to kind of read comments as they come through.
So from here, you go down here to the chat at the bottom.
Okay, I think I'm like probably one screen too far in. Let me just check.
Find your events.
Yep, found the event.
So anyone else using on the mobile app, that's another way you can also join in on the chat if you're just signing up.
Yeah, I'd love to see the chat. Nick, if you can just send me a Facebook message exactly what screen that's on, because here's the thing, team. We've got an hour together. I'd love it to be really, really useful. The easiest way for me to make it useful is if we can talk backwards and forwards a little bit, and the easiest way to do that is in the chat. So if you're here right now and you're up for a little bit of fun, hopefully a lot of useful, just ping me a little message in the chat and say, hey, and let's get started. All right. I think I just found the chat. Thank you for the hey. All right, let's do this. Team, let's have some fun, shall we? I want to talk today about 5-star nomading. Here's the goal. The goal really for us today is how do we go nomad while running a business? So how do we maximize both lifestyle freedom, run a great business, not let people down, and not get so bogged down in the work that we forget to have fun, and not get so lost in the fun that we forget to grow a business at the same time. That's kind of the goal. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about this idea that I call 5-star nomads. And I don't know if you're already nomading or it's something you're thinking about, but if you're thinking about it, I'm really pumped that you are, because 4.5 years ago or so, we pulled the trigger and decided to go nomad. Best thing we ever did. It was great for me personally because I love adventures. It was great for the family. We've got 6 kids, 2 of them with special needs. Ethan in a wheelchair that the team behind the event here know really well. We've sailed together and had dinner together and done all sorts of fun stuff. And so all of the reasons for not nomading, could have been there, I suppose. hey, family's busy. You've got this business. It's too hard to leave. Da 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 da. Oh, we pulled it off. Best thing we ever did as a family. 3.5 years traveling around the world. It was super great. So, thinking about this today, there's 3 things I think we want to talk about. Firstly, kind of 3 questions I was thinking about in terms of going nomad and growing a business at the same time. So the first thing I was thinking about is, some people like haven't pulled the trigger yet and they're a little bit scared. Like, can I really do this? Is it possible to go nomad with family, or is it possible to go nomad and run a great business? So there's kind of a fear piece that we'll talk through really quickly. The second piece is, like, if you are traveling and you are nomading around, whether it's fixed in a city for an extended period of time or traveling around a little bit like we did, the worst thing in the world is to run out of money before you run out of adventures. And how do we make sure that the business doesn't go broke? Okay, so scared, broke. It's only one thing worse than being scared and broke, and that's being scared and broke and burnt out. So today, if we do our job right, we're gonna do the opposite of these 3 things. Number 1, instead of scared, we're gonna set you up, for you, your business, your clients, your family, if you have them, up for some adventures. Instead of going broke, we want to make sure that the business grows. Funniest thing happened to us while we were traveling around the world for 3.5 years. I was much less available to my business. 3 or maybe on average, like somewhere between 2 and 4 hours a day I could do most days. Some days we had to do kind of go in heavy, but most days it was pretty light, and a lot of days we didn't do any work at all. The business grew, and it grew quite a lot. And the business clients love that we're on the road, and we'll talk about how to kind of use your nomadic adventures for your, as part of your marketing in a little bit. But we want to set this up in a way that not only do you have great adventures, but your business grows. And instead of you burning out, that we set you up to really enjoy the adventure. There's nothing worse than, nothing better than being the digital nomad, but there's nothing worse than being the digital nomad who's on their laptop at the beach when you should have brought a surfboard to the beach, or you don't want to be stuck on a computer when the reason you traveled is to have a lot of fun. So how do we kind of squeeze the most amount of juice? That's kind of the aim of the game so far. If that is okay so far, if you're cool with that, can you just hit me up in the chat and say sounds good? And that'll let me know that you're following, and that we can have some fun. We want to go from scared to turning this into an adventure, from broke to business that grows, and we'll talk a lot about marketing in here. We're going to go light here, and here is my brief, and from burnout to freedom. So let's get started, shall we? 3 things we want to do. We're going to focus in up here in the scared to adventure bit first, if that's okay. First thing you got to do is just kind of figure out what you want. Nick, I know you're looking at my screen. Can you see this? Is the blue strong enough, or should I switch? I might go to this.
Yeah, purple's better. And the screen's your words now. Good.
Perfect. So we want to figure out what we want. And this is how it happened for us. Every year we pick a theme for the year, like a word that's like the mantra. And a few years ago, we'd had a pretty good business year. Now, we've been doing this since 2009, late 2008, so a while, right? And we had a pretty good business year, but I was really bored. The whole thing was very vanilla, very beige, not very exciting. And so I get to the end of the year and I'm feeling pretty antsy, to be honest. And I was like, you know what we need? I need more adventures this year. So hence the word right here. Need more adventures. And so I was like, I told Kira Marie, my wife, babe, I think we need more adventures this year. And so we traveled a little bit. We went from Australia, where we live, to Morocco, and we rode camels in the lower Atlas Mountains just outside Marrakesh. We went to Portugal. We just traveled a little bit, and it was amazing. And I remember coming back to Australia, and I'm sitting at my local taco shop having the world's best beef barbacoa tacos. So yum. And beef brisket tacos. That's an important detail. And I just thought to myself, this has been the best year ever. I don't know how we could how could we ever possibly top this? And my brain just said, oh, what if you never came back? I was like, what? What if you never came back? And so I asked the waiter for a napkin, and I grabbed a pen, and And I sketched out a little plan in like 2 or 3 minutes that frankly kind of changed our world for a few years. And so here's the thing. In our business, Sydney is kind of home base. And every year if you think about a year, starts in January, in March and July and November, we had to be in Sydney to run an event. Okay, so March, July, November in an event. But that leaves like 3 months in between where we could frankly kind of do whatever we wanted to. And so we came up with this idea that looked a bit like this. What if we did the March event and then we kind of traveled overseas for 3 months? And then we came back and we did the July event and then we traveled overseas for 3 months. And then we did the November event and then we traveled overseas for 3 months. I'm like, this is looking cool. Looks a bit like a propeller. Let's call it the propeller plan. It's like, okay, so where would we go? And I was like, I don't know. How about we spend some time in the Americas and some time in Asia and of course some time in Europe. I'm like, this is looking like a real plan. I love it when a plan comes together. How can we bust this up even more? And I'm like, Americas, where would I go? Well, let's go East Coast, like New York. Let's go West Coast, like San Francisco. And let's go South America, Brazil. Got some cousins in Brazil. Fun to go visit them. And we thought, Asia, where could we go? Okay, well, I'd love to go to Japan because I've heard amazing things, never been. Let's go to Thailand. And let's go to the Philippines. I never quite remember how to spell it. Let's call it like that. We've got a team in the Philippines, about 7 or 8 team members. So we thought it'd be fun to visit them. And then in Europe, I was like, okay, well, where do we go? Let's go Italy, because who doesn't love Italy? Let's go Spain. And at the time I was like, I can't remember what it's called, but let's go to one of those Viking countries. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, something like that. And that was the plan. So here's the first, so I ran home with this stupid little napkin to my wife and said, hey babe, let's do this. She thought I was completely nuts. She was right. But that's the first thing. We figured out kind of what we wanted. We chatted about it and we decided that, yeah, it's something we could probably pull off. And we did it. So the first thing is just figure out what you want. Like, what do you want the ideal life to be? And it's the fact that you're here at the kind of the Nomad conference says, you know what, I'd like to have a bit more adventure in my life. All we need to do is go, that's what I want. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the emotional trigger. The emotional trigger. So I was sold 10 seconds after having drawn on a napkin, but it took my wife and I a few months of discussions and we decided we were going to do it. And then all we did was we made a plan that in 3 months' time, we were going to get on a plane and start this thing happening. So that's kind of the big idea to start with. Like, the Nomad thing is freaking amazing. The fact that you're here says you're already kind of half sold on the idea or doing it already. I can confirm it's freaking ridiculous. It's the best thing ever. I put these photos up on my wall here a couple of weeks ago to remind me of the Nomad days. And now every time I look at them, frankly, I get really homesick because, travel sick, because I miss the fun times. So, but just before we go any further, I just wanted to check, is this making sense so far? What would be really helpful? If you could just jump into the chat and tell me, are you already nomading or are you thinking about it? Can you type that in? Nomading or thinking about it? And let's have a quick conversation about this before we talk about the marketing stuff. Is that all right? So tell me, are you nomading or are you thinking about it? Okay, Tanya's doing a mix. Marie's already nomading. I love that. Mahina, lovely to see you, sis. On a break from nomading, want more? Okay. So here's the thing. Sadly, had to work on a boat the other day. That was sad. You know what? Working on a boat is actually really fun. Every Friday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, Sydney time, pretty late, about midnight, Croatia time, I got to teach a webinar. So we're in Nick, where were we? Kira Marie had that amazing Mexican coffee. There was some bullet holes in the thing, and I was on the back of a boat ready to do a webinar docked. Nick, do you remember where that was? I don't know if Nick can hear me or not. Anyway, we're on the back of a boat. I'm standing on the swim platform, the little piece that drops down on the back of the boat, all set up with my phone on a tripod to teach this webinar. Dockman comes yelling, a little bit angry. Apparently there's a 50-meter long ferry about to dock in the exact same spot where we are, and we need to leave. But I'm already halfway through the webinar, or partway through the webinar. So Nick just jumped on board, and we started sailing, and I got to deliver a webinar on the swim platform with water rushing over my feet. Kind of the most fun I've ever had teaching a webinar. So sometimes it's okay to take the laptop on the boat and kind of bring people on the journey with you. It's kind of exciting. Anyway, so that's that. Let's talk about the marketing piece, because if you're nomading, obviously one of the things that funds you is you're living somewhere fun, like Zagreb. By the way, I want to give a shout out to my 2 favorite coffee shops in Zagreb. Everywhere we go, when we travel, I'm on the lookout for 2 things: great coffee and a good barbershop. I can't remember the name of the barbershop in Zagreb, but I remember Cogito Coffee was really nice. But I think probably the single best coffee experience in terms of talking to the barista was at a place called Ellie's Coffee. Ellie was the guy's son. I can't remember his name. But I just remember being like completely entranced in an amazing conversation about somebody's story. And I think that's one of the best things, honestly, about nomading, is getting to immerse yourself in the local culture and meet the people. This guy said when during the war, there was a call to arms and everyone went to fight. And he decided, instead of picking up a Kalashnikov, the way he wanted to serve his city was through coffee, which I think is kind of amazing. Probably safer. Anyway, so this guy was the guy who kind of brought specialty coffee to Croatia. I think it was Croatian barista champion for a little while. I'm talking way too much about coffee, but I just want to let you know that Zagreb is an amazing city. I loved it. Coffee was fantastic. And I don't remember the name of the barbershop, but shout out to Ellie's and to Cogito. I'm just going to come back here so I can stay a little bit more focused. When you run your business while you're nomading, it's kind of really important, frankly, that you don't just maintain your business, but you're able to grow it, but do it in a way that is sustainable. And for me, I found kind of 3 or 4 things really, really helped to do that. I don't know what kind of business you run, what kind of work you do, whether you kind of run an agency sort of business, like you're a designer, or you do social media campaigns, or you write emails, or something like that. Or if you're a kind of a coach or a consultant, kind of more like me. But I think the 3 things I've got kind of planned out here will be relevant, regardless of kind of what you do. And so I think this is kind of the overlap between, I want my business to grow, but I also want to maximize my freedom at the same time. And so if we want to set this up so your business grows and you maximize your freedom, then we need to set up the way we attract and the way we convert and the way we deliver so that it can grow without taking more work for you personally. Does that make sense? So that's where I'm going with this. So let's just talk this through a little bit. I'd like to kind of talk through these a bit, and then let's have a conversation about it. If you're up for it, and if you're in the chat, I'll check the chat in a couple of minutes. Any questions you've got about marketing or growing your business while you're overseas, I'd love to hear them. Okay, and if no one does, I'll just talk by myself. That's totally cool too. Okay, so if we think about attract, the way we get the leads in the first place, and convert, the way we convert prospects into clients, and deliver, the way we deliver our services to clients. Let's just kind of talk through those one by one. But we're actually going to do it backwards, because there's nothing worse than doing a really good job of marketing and selling while you're traveling and then realizing that you've just signed yourself up for a whole bunch of hard work, right? A little bit of burnout. So what we want to do is we're going to focus on this deliver piece first, if you're cool with that. And the first thing we want to do is we want to have what I would call, let me just pump this table, that's better. We want to have what I would call a scalable offer. In other words, ideally, the kind of thing we can deliver to people that they want, that we can deliver with the minimum amount of extra hours. So if you've got, I don't know, 5 customers right now, if you had 10 customers, 10 clients, it doesn't change your week too much. I know in our world, we had 9 new clients join us this week, which is super awesome. It's not going to change my week by one minute. And they're going to get an amazing experience because we've designed it, and they're going to get great results because we've designed that too. So what we've really done is we've designed an offer that can scale. And if you're an agency, there's plenty of books around kind of how to how to design that kind of business at scale. I'm probably better at the coach consultant kind of advice business. And what we do is we design a program using this exact same shape we've got right here. And so if it's useful, I might talk about it for a little bit. Let me just quickly check the chat and see if I've missed anything. I haven't, I don't think, so we're good. I'm going to leave that right there. So when it comes to a scalable offer for kind of a coach consultant type business, and it might be, there's definitely similar principles for the agency side of things. But what we do is we draw a triangle, and in the middle of the triangle, we put the goal. What do people want? And in this case, what people want is, at least according to Taki's weird brain, we want to be 5-star nomads. We want to go nomad, but we want to do it with style, and we want to have adventures, grow our business, and enjoy freedom at the same time. So in the middle goes our goal. And this is, let's say you were designing a course or a coaching program around your expertise. So we put the goal in the middle. Then we go, what are the 3 things which stop people, or the 3 things that hold people back? In this case, kind of they're scared to pull the trigger and go nomad. They don't know how to run a business while they're on the road. And the work-life balance thing gets all mushy, and they don't have, they don't really enjoy the freedom because they're tied to their computer the whole time. So we go in the middle, what's the goal? In the red, what's the problems? In the green, what do they want instead? So instead of scared, we want to kind of start some adventures. Instead of broke, we want a business that grows. Instead of burnout, we want freedom. I know we've just talked about this for you, but I just want to explain how we design out an offer. And then in blue, or in my case, purple today, we put the, what are the 2 or 3 things we need to do for each of these to make it happen? And we design them out. And now what I've got is, I've got a system now where I can go, great, welcome aboard. The first thing we're going to do is going to go you from scared to adventure. I'm going to teach you these 3 things and get you to do them. Then we do the same for attract, convert, deliver. Then we do the same for freedom. And now we've got like either 6 or 9 steps to get the outcome we want without you having to repeat yourself and say the same thing again and again and again. Does this make any sense? I think the first thing we want to do is look at how can we streamline our offer so that we're not doing as much bespoke custom work. Perfect. This is a really good question. Taki, how do you best reach your target audience of your product since the city could be new to you? I'm really glad you asked because that's where we're going next. Thank you, by the way, for putting comments in. Uchena, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but Uchena, if that is how I pronounced it right, thanks for commenting. I really appreciate it. Makes my life way more fun when I've got real people to talk to. Otherwise, it feels like I'm talking to my desk here and it's kind of weird. So thank you. Here's the first most important thing. There is absolutely no reason that the city you're in has to be the same city that your customers are in. Presumably, before you started nomading, you were in one place and now you're in a different place. In theory, you could keep some of the old customers from there, depending on the kind of work you do, right? I'm in Sydney right now and I've got clients in 18 countries or something like that. Many of whom I've never met in person because it's been a year since COVID and we haven't been able to meet up face to face. So the first thing I'd say is we're going to talk about the marketing and we're going to talk about the sales, but there's no reason that the delivery of your offer has to be face to face. There's this thing called the internet. It's kind of tremendous. That's all I want to say. So keep your questions coming. We're going to talk about the marketing in just one moment. So we want an offer that we can hopefully deliver remote. Or if you kind of follow my our plan, we just knew that 3 times a year we had to kind of touch down with the mothership, bring the clients in, give them some love, and then bug out again. All right. So we want an offer that's remote, that's hopefully high value, but low hours. Honestly, I reckon for a lot of us, the high value, low hours is going to be selling, what's in our head rather than what's in our hands. Certainly that's been our path, has been taking what we know, turning into products and programs and selling them online. So scalable offer, we can chat about that if you want. Give me some questions. I love your virtual whiteboard. Do you have a similar solution when you're on the road working remotely? Yeah, dude, of course. When I'm on the road working remotely, it looks like this. It's just an iPad that I screen share on Zoom. It's exactly the same process. Cool. So yeah, I would love to. I started traveling with a big fat roll of brown paper. Not super practical. The goal was, how can I fit my whole office into this here little bag? And iPad fits in the zipper pocket in there. A phone and a tripod fits in there. And I had a little microphone for my phone. I think that's a Shure MV88 or something like that. But basically, that was the whole setup. I brought a laptop for the start until we were in Sri Lanka. In the middle of the jungle in Sri Lanka, my laptop died. You know, the screen went and went black and never started again. And there's no Apple Store in Sri Lanka. I looked, there's not. So we went to the Philippines next. And so now I've got my phone and an iPad. I'm like, no worries, I've got a phone and an iPad. I can run webinars, it's going to be fine. You know, phone can be my webcam on Zoom. iPad can be my slides, all good. Then my daughter and I were watching YouTube videos about how at the time, the new iPhone 10 was waterproof. We watched 5 videos to prove that it was really true. And then she and I jumped in the pool in the Philippines, taking a selfie video. Splash. We're underwater for 2 seconds. Guess what happens to my phone? That dies too. Like, crap. I'm down to an iPad. So I'm still in the Philippines, and I'm watching The Blacklist on Netflix on my iPad, and I get a bit hungry. So I grab my little room key thing and a block of Toblerone chocolate, you know, those big Toblerone chocolates, and I go to the snack shop, and I get this, I go to the snack shop, I get a Toblerone chocolate. I get back to the hotel room, and I'm trying to swipe the room key, and it's not really working, and I fumble, and I drop the key, the iPad, and the Toblerone. And because I'm stupid, I rescued the Toblerone and I smashed my iPad. Not my finest moment. All that to say, you can run a business on these 2 things just fine. Cool? Is that vaguely helpful? Uchenna, I'm glad that I got your name right. Collaboration is a huge concern for remote working business professionals. 100%. That's why events like this are so important, isn't it? Let's get back to it. Okay, so first thing we want is a scalable offer. The second thing when it comes to the convert part, the sales part of your business, is we want I just realized after doing all that fancy stuff, now you can't see my desk here, which is kind of annoying. Let me get that sorted. Should only take 30 seconds. Every now and again it drops out. Every now and again it drops out. There we are. Bam, that's what we want. And I just want to go to widescreen so you can see all the stuff. That's better. Cool. Awesome. Sorry about that, team. My apologies. So convert. We need a simple sales process. And I know for many people, like, sales is a bit of a dirty word. We just need a simple way to sell our stuff in a way that feels good to us and good to the prospect. It's weird. People hate being sold, but they love to buy. So that's our job, is just to professionally help people to buy. And what we want is just a really simple pipeline. There's this guy called David Sandler who started the Sandler Sales Institute, and he said, if you don't have a system for selling, you'll always be at the mercy of your prospect's system for buying. And so I don't know how much the thing you sell is, whether it's $500 or it's $50,000 or somewhere in between, or it's more or it's less. But we found a really simple way to sell our stuff at the $1,500 price point and at the $60,000 price point. That seems to work really, really well. I'm going to share it with you now in the hope that it's useful for you as well. So we want to talk about pipeline. All right. So, and this kind of, I guess, will dovetail into the marketing piece a little bit. But the way we sell is we do something that gets people to raise their hand. That's a bad hand, but you get the idea. That's meant to be a hand. So we do something that gets people to raise their hand. And we'll talk about what that looks like, whether we're running ads and we're spending some money, or we're being organic and we're sharing some content. Both ways, same. But we basically, the first thing we want to do, we want to get people to raise their hand. And the way we do that is by offering what we call a cool, free thing. In fancy words, if you're a marketing nerd like me, you could call it a lead magnet, but it's something cool that's free, that promises to solve people's problems, and they're just going to put up their hand and say, hey, I'm kind of a little bit interested in that. Yeah? So let's say this is marketing. This is where the sales process starts, when somebody raises their hand for the cool free thing. The second thing we do is once somebody's raised their hand, and I'm just going to pretend we've put a post up on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on Instagram or a story on Instagram, and somebody's commented or they've sent you a DM, a direct message. And so the next step is we chat. So step one, raise hands. Step two, we chat. And we've got a really simple way to work out, for a chat flow. And it's designed to go, are they in my target market? Are they friendly and cooperative? In other words, are they happy to have a chat and are they kind of nice about it? Do they know what they want? Do they know when they want it? And would they like some help? So we just have these little messenger conversations. In our world, there's like hundreds of them every day. Last week, we had like 2,300 people comment on something. And we nearly died. We drowned a little bit in all the chats. But we have this conversation. We work out, if they're chatting with us, they're probably friendly and cooperative. And if they're not, we just end the conversation. We find out if they know what they want. And if the thing that they want is something that we can help with, then we can have a chat about that. We find out when they want it. Like, is this a later thing or a sooner thing? And they'll say it's a sooner thing. Okay, cool. Would you like some help? And they say, yeah. And then we just say, hey, I have a few ideas. Want to talk about it? And they're like, yeah. So the next thing we do is we just have a quick phone call. I don't know how to draw a phone call. So it could be on Zoom. You know what? Let's just draw two people having a chat. So we get them to raise their hand on social. We chat on Messenger, and this works just the same on LinkedIn or email or Instagram DMs. It works on TikTok. Yes, TikTok isn't just for kids anymore. It works on Facebook for sure. And then the next step is we have a conversation. Sometimes it's on Zoom. Sometimes it's just on the phone. And at the end of that, we get a happy client paying money. And you know what doesn't matter to them? It doesn't matter. Oops, I just realized I wasn't sharing my scribbles. Hands up, start conversations, have a one-on-one call on the phone or on Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever you use, and then you get a happy client paying you money. What doesn't matter is where you are in the world. Who cares? Nobody cares where you are in the world. What they want is, can you help me solve my problem? People like my coffee making collection. Oh, by the way, this is, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see. This is my coffee shrine. My favorite place in the world is to sit here and drink coffee. This coffee here is actually by the former World Barista Champion, 2015. Turns out the guy is Croatian, Sasha Seštik. Best coffee in Australia comes from Croatia. Isn't that crazy? Any questions about how to sell your stuff? We'll talk about the marketing piece in just a moment because it can be really, really easy. But I just wanted to kind of check in. Is this making sense so far? Do you have any questions about sales process, about getting people to raise their hand, about Messenger, about phone calls, and about starting clients off? If you do, just hit me up in the chat. Love to help. I'm just going to have a quick look here. There's a couple of things popped in. Bruce says, good that you're touching on making sure the client is a good fit. 100%. In our world, we've got a series of filters. And one of them is I've got 6 kids, dude, right? So one of them is would I happily have this person come have dinner with me and the family? If the answer is no, I don't want them as a client. if you run live workshops like we used to back in the before times, it only takes one idiot to make a great room not very great. As one of my clients said, doesn't matter how big the swimming pool is, if somebody poops in the pool, there's a poop in the pool and everyone gets out. So we don't want any poops in our pool. So we're looking for fit. Can we help them? Do I like them? Can they pay? That's kind of that's the trifecta, isn't it? Maya says, yeah, I love the whiteboard too. Great solution. Are you using 2 or more cameras at the moment? Is this a special table or a normal one? I love that we're talking about all the stuff that I don't want to talk about, but I'm happy to talk about it because, hey, this is your show. So, you know what? I'm just going to take 30 seconds and I'll give you the super quick tour. Is that okay? Here we go. If I come over here, you can see a little bit of what's going on. There's a camera here, which I chatted with Tanya at the start. Over here is my table. It's a normal table. It's from 1956, made in Sweden. It's a hydraulic drafting table. My dad was an architect and I kind of geek out on that stuff. And then they got these 2 lights. I don't know if you can see the 2 lights. In each of the lights, there's a camera. And that's the secret magic. Cool? I can't think without a pen in my hand, so that's kind of typically how this game kind of goes. Any questions about sales process? I think we're good. All right. So we've talked a bit about the marketing piece, and the marketing job really is get them to raise their hand for, the sales piece, get them to raise their hand for a cool free thing. Have a conversation on Messenger just to work out, what we call a 5-star prospect. Are they in our target market? Are they friendly and cooperative? Do they know what they want? Do they know when they want it? Would they like some help? Then we'd say, hey, I've got some ideas. Do you want to chat about it? And they say, yes, please. Jump on a call. And obviously there's some magic to what you do there, but I think that's probably enough for now. So, when you teach with brown paper like this, you kind of start to judge the quality of a workshop by the number of meters of paper you've used. So we're doing pretty good so far, I think. We talked about a pipeline. Let's talk about the marketing piece. Obviously, we need to get leads, hot leads. And so this is one of the big questions, isn't it? Like this is the thing. And so there's 3 ways to market and get leads. Only 3. If I draw here, can you see? I think you can. Okay, so what do we got? We got free, organic, share content. We've got paid, run ads. And then we've got partnership. In other words, find somebody else who's already got the customers you want and get them to promote you. My first 3 years in business, I did lots and lots of this. I don't recommend it for people getting started because sometimes when you want to partner with people, they say, well, hey, tell me what you've done, and you haven't really done much yet. So for now, let's just say it's not going to be that. It's going to be free or it's going to be paid. I don't know you. I'm going to make some assumptions. I could be completely wrong. My hunch is that if you're digital nomading, you're possibly more likely to be a solopreneur than have like a big team, although that could be completely wrong. And if that's the case, you could be more likely to want to do content marketing than paid ads. That's an assumption. If I'm right for you, can you type yep into the chat? And if I'm wrong, type nope or no into the chat, and we'll kind of figure it out together. Either way, the process is quite similar. What we're going to do is we're going to give away something for free in return for contact info, permission to stay in touch. Let's have a quick look here. What's the cool free thing? Oh, where in the sales pipeline do we talk about money? Sorry, questions are just coming through now. I apologize. We talk about money, how much our thing costs at the end. We talk about money, how much they've got at the start. Can I give you the biggest kind of money tip, like sales money tip I've ever learned? Is that a lot of us get really hung up on, the price. What if they say no? And they freak out about how much it costs to work with you. Yeah, because it does cost a bit to work with you, right? But let's think about the alternative. How much does it cost to not work with you? How much does it cost to not solve this problem? It's really freaking expensive. And so when you're in an advisory role or a sales role, the most important thing I want you to get across is I want you to just remember that you're the one, like, frankly, you're the one with the power in this situation. They're coming to you because they've got a problem that they don't know how to solve. Or they've got a goal that they don't know how to get to on their own. In both those situations, they've got a problem they've got and don't want, or a goal that they want but don't have. In both of those situations, they're looking to you to solve the problem and get them to the goal. You're the prize. You're the one with all of the power here. So you don't have to like tap dance. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to like try to impress them. It's crap. You don't have to do any of that stuff. What do you do instead? Instead of trying to impress them, you try to assess their fit. I think about myself in a sales situation like I'm Simon Cowell in American Idol on an audition. And instead of me like tap dancing and like jazz handsing and spirit fingersing, I'm Simon Cowell and they're going to audition for me. Not in a like a douchey way, but I'm the one with the ticket to Hollywood and they're the one with the problem. And I get to choose, do I like them? Can I help them? And can they pay? If they can, then I'll invite them to come to Hollywood with me. And that's kind of how I think about the whole thing. Hopefully that's a little bit useful. I'll check in on these in a minute. Okay, so we're talking about marketing, aren't we? And so when it comes to marketing, the first thing we want to do is we want to create our cool, free thing. Let's chat about that a little bit. By the way, I've now dragged the paper so far that way that I'm terrified that I'm not going to be able to bring it back safely. So what we want to do is if somebody like takes you up on your offer or doesn't, it really comes down to two things. It comes down to like, if there was a seesaw, one of those kids' playthings, and on the one hand is perceived risk. If somebody doesn't take you up on your offer, even your offer for your cool free thing, it's because they think it's risky. It's either a threat, like I'm going to have to talk to a sales guy, or it's a hassle, like I've got to fill in like 19 pages and it's not worth the hassle. Or the reward isn't big enough. So it really comes down to risk and reward. So what we want to do is instead of saying, hey, have my free sales appointment, instead of that, we want to do something that is really light in the risk department and really heavy in the reward department. So the least risky thing is information because they can consume it without having to talk to you. And the most rewarding thing is information about how to solve their biggest problem. So we call it problem solving information makes the best lead magnets or cool free things. And so here's one of the ways you do that. And by the way, Nick, I'm sort of freestyling a little bit here. You may have noticed. If there's a direction you want me to take, feel free to just unmute, or Tanya, and just tell me, hey, Taki, talk about this. But I think this is useful so far. But if you disagree, just tell me and I'll do whatever you tell me. What we do to figure out what's the best cool free thing to give away is we think about their motivations. People are, if you think about your perfect future client, your PFC, perfect future client, we think about what do they want to move away from? Yeah, that's like the risk, isn't it? What do they don't want? And what do they want to move towards? And we could just make two lists. What do they want? What do they not want? What do they do want? The other thing to do, all good, love the direction. Thanks, appreciate that. Is some of their motivations are now, kind of pressing, immediate, and some of them are later, kind of in the future, imagined. And what that does is it gives us like 4 angles. And all we need to do is we just grab a timer. For me, I've got one of these little timers and I just put some time on it, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Your iPhone does the same thing, but I think this is cooler. And we go, okay, so what do they want to move away from right now? They're called frustrations. So make a list of frustrations. If the frustrations keep happening, what are they scared is going to happen later on? They're the fears. So we make a list of fears. On the toward side of things, what do they want right now? Their wants. And long-term, they're called aspirations or dreams, whatever you want to call it. So literally all we do is we get a sheet of paper, we divide it into 4 boxes. You go to Ellie's Coffee or Cogito, wherever you are. You order a coffee, you sit down, maybe bang some headphones in, listen to some soothing music, whatever floats your boat. Maybe you're into gangster rap, whatever. And you make a list of all of the frustrations they have about your topic. If those frustrations come true, what are they scared about will happen long-term? What do they want to have instead? And like wants are usually 30, 60, 90 days. And then aspirations, what do they want to have happen long-term? We just make a list. And then we're going to look for the ones which are really common and emotional. In other words, it happens to a lot of people. It's pretty frustrating when it happens and that you can actually fix. And then we make our lead magnet around that topic. For example, in my market, business coaches, one of the big frustrations is I don't have enough leads. I know I should run ads, but ads are expensive and hard. Their fear is that they're going to stay small and never really kind of do the magic that they put on the planet to do. What do they want instead? Well, they want lots of leads. Ideally, they'd like them fast and they'd like them cheap so they can be really successful and make an impact. I'm just doing the super rough version. You're going to spend 10 minutes on this, right? So guess what? Last week, we created a brand new lead magnet, which is a Facebook ads campaign. It's called the 100 Lead Bundle. It's a super simple Facebook ads campaign that's super easy, and it costs $25 per day. So when I put that in my group and said, hey, I've just made this thing called the 100 Lead Bundle, it allows you to get lots of leads, really cheap, for $25 a day, and it's really easy. Who wants one? There was 2,300 people all put up their hand and said, hey, I want that thing. Now, if it bombed, guess what I would have done? I would have gone back to my fears, frustrations, wants, and aspirations and picked something else. It's totally okay when you do marketing and it doesn't work. It's an experiment. So I want you to treat yourself like a mad scientist a little bit and just test new things until you crack the one that works. Obviously, there's things which work better than others, but the easiest way is just to go, what do people want? And what have I got? What could I teach them? And we're just going to give away some problem-solving information that they can get the juice from really quickly without having to talk to a sales guy. Is that cool? When they do that, people will put up their hand and say, I'd like your cool free thing, please. And then you send them a message, go, hey, do you still want my, I saw a message, I think you want my cool free thing. Yes, I do. We go, hey, what kind of clients do you coach? I'm a business coach. Super nice. They're in our target market. We're having a good conversation. This is really great. Do you coach one-on-one or groups? Mostly groups. Cool. Where's your monthly income up to right now and where do you want it to be? You know, I'm at 20 grand a month and I'd like to get to 50. Okay, cool. So now we know what they want. What do you think you need most to make that happen? They're going to tell us where they're stuck. Is this a later thing for you or a sooner thing? No, I'd like to fix this quickly. Hey, I've got some ideas. Would you like to talk about it? Yes, please. And we end up on a call. And the whole thing kind of ties together pretty nicely. All right. Maya, let's chat. Little comment interaction for a second. We've got about 10 minutes to go, guys, and then we're gonna stop. Maya says, what would you suggest? How to increase your self-confidence at the very beginning of one's work? How to value yourself more and be more confident about the value one would like to present to the market? Dude, I'm so glad you asked. This is like one of the all-time big questions. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to, you've made this connection between my confidence and my ability to market and sell myself. And what I'd like to do is get a pair of scissors and separate them just for a minute. Have you ever met someone who's like really confident at sales and at marketing and they're kind of shit? They're not very good. By the way, I apologize for swearing. They're crap at what they do, but they're really confident, so they get lots of clients. Of course. And at the same time, have you met people who are like, actually, and some of those guys are not as good as you at what you do? You have, right? And at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, there's a bunch of people who are amazing at what they do, and their lack of confidence kind of talks them, like they talk themselves out of actually taking action. We've both seen that, right? So the value you create has got nothing to do with your level of self-confidence, because the value isn't in your confidence. You're a necessary evil. They don't want you. They don't want me. They don't want any of us. They want the outcome. But the only way they can get that is with some help from someone like me and someone like you. So what we want to do, the best kind of confidence trick I've got, Maya, is to not think about you at all. I've got this great friend called Matt who says, fix nervous with service. So all we want to do is, instead of trying to pump yourself up and read self-help books and like get all Tony Robbins, instead of doing that, just get busy helping people. It's way easier. If they've got a problem and you know the answer, your confidence is completely irrelevant, because they don't care about you. They just care about the result. Does that help a little bit, Maya? Hopefully it helps a little bit. Let's come right back here. I'd have to put something heavy there so my paper doesn't run away. Okay, so at the start of today, we talked about 3 big problems with kind of running a business as a nomad. Number one, we're scared to kind of pull the trigger, and we talked about, figuring out what you want, pulling the emotional trigger and just kind of saying, yes, I want to do this, and then making a plan. And maybe it starts in a month or 2 or 3. Then we spent a bunch of time here on the marketing piece. We need an offer that we can deliver that's kind of a little bit hands-off and replicable. That's optional, but I think it helps. We got like 60 people to $1 million a year last year by helping them kind of market and sell and deliver like this. So, I think it's quite useful. A simple sales pipeline where they put up their hand, we send them a message, we get them on a call, and they buy the stuff. And then a way to get the leads. And the easiest way to get the leads is, frankly, post a thing saying, I've got this cool free thing that solves this problem. Would you like it? We haven't touched this piece yet. And I think one of the challenges with being a nomad is, in a way, you're always on, and that's hard. I don't know where you were born, but here in Australia, they've got a tub of ice cream. It's called Neapolitan. Do they have that where you are? Neapolitan is basically a tub of ice cream, and it's got 3 flavors. It's got like the vanilla ice cream in the middle. I don't have the right colors here, so you're just going to have to imagine a little bit. It's got chocolate on one side.
Can you shift the paper over? Your image is right in front of it.
My head's in the way?
Yeah. Perfect.
Me and my big head. Thank you for letting me know. So in Australia, we've got this ice cream tub, and it's got 3 flavors. It's got vanilla in the middle, chocolate on one side, strawberry on the other. I know that chocolate's not black and strawberry's not red, but just go with me. That's the colors I've got. And Neapolitan ice cream is really good because the 3 colors are separate. Like there's a block of that color, and there's a block of that color, and there's a block of strawberry. And if you take that nice tub of Neapolitan ice cream and you put it out in the sun and you leave it in the sun, it all melts and it goes like browny, gray mush. And I think sometimes when you're nomading, there's a danger that your days, instead of having days when you're on a boat having fun or exploring the city and meeting amazing people, and then other days when you're like focused and working, and other days when you're like delivering stuff to clients, instead of having like 3 separate flavors, it all goes a bit mushy. And I think that was a kind of a mistake that I made sometimes as well. So I think we want to do 3 things. The first thing we want to do is, we talked a little bit before about actually, you know what? I'm going to do it in this order. I think the first thing we want to do is we want to compress time. So instead of like, I'm always on and I'm always on holiday and I'm going to take my laptop to the beach or wherever it is, I think like having chocolate and strawberry and vanilla is a really nice way to run your life. It's much more restorative. And so I want to talk about Spanx for a minute. I don't know if Spanx has made its way to Croatia. It's a big company in America, and it's basically, how do you describe it? It's not underwear. but you wear it under your clothes and it like squeezes you in and makes you the right shape. Americans are big into that stuff. So one of the things I think is worth doing is if you Spanx your calendar. In other words, if you look at a week, and a week's got 7 days, instead of going, hey, I'm always on and I'm always off and I'm like doing the Nomad thing, what if we Spanx your calendar and go, you know what, I'm going to work, I'm not going to work on my weekends, and I don't want to work on Monday. That way, most weeks I get a 3-day week. Okay, that's cool. Now we've got 4 work days. So I think like Spanxing the calendar is going to really, really help. And so you can work out the kind of the level of Spanxiness that you want to use on this thing. But I think like for me, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is my week. So it looks exactly like this. And I work from 8 in the morning. And even this is like here in Sydney, 8 in the morning till 12:30 p.m. So I work 4 half days a week. They're kind of biggish half days, but that's how my week works. Personal trainer comes in at 12:30, work out with a trainer, go get some lunch, pick up the kids, hang out. That's the deal. So if we can Spanx your calendar and compress the time a little bit so you don't have to be always on and always off, I think that might be useful. The second big idea in terms of making the most of the opportunity is to I call it business backdrop. So here's the thing. You've got some content to create, I'm sure, whether it's emails or it's videos or it's blogs or stories, whatever you do. And you're in this kind of new part of the world. When we started traveling around the world, I decided I didn't want to be like a travel blogger. And so I didn't want to go, hey, look at me, I'm in Zagreb. Check out Zagreb, it's so awesome. I'm not like a freaking travel journalist. I'm a business coach. But what I did was I teach business coach stuff, like I'd shoot a little video, a business coach stuff, and Zagreb's behind me, and I can like mention where I am, but people see the background all the time. And so I think let's just use the fact that you're traveling as a plus. Teach your business stuff, but have where you are in the background and draw lessons and stories from where you are, and the whole thing becomes much, much richer. Don't think about it like a negative. If you do it like this, your travel adds value to your work, and your work adds value to your travel. The final thing, talk about business, but have your backdrop behind you. And the third thing I really wanted to say is look for the magic moments. You didn't go Nomad because you want to do great work. You went Nomad because you want to like squeeze every drop of juice out of the world and all of its experiences. And so find the things that you love. For me, we landed in a new city. The first thing I'm doing is I'm on an app called Bean Hunter, and I'm finding the very best coffee in town. That's how I found Ellie's, and that's how I found Bean Hunter. Then I'm on Instagram, and I'm searching barbershop Zagreb, and I'm looking through the feed to find the dude who cuts the hair the best in that town. And then I'm just going to go in and meet those folks. Coming to events like this, I think the very best thing we can do is we can, don't just go transport my office to a new town and just be like a work zombie. You're nomading for a reason, so live it up. That's all I really wanted to say. So to wrap up today, I reckon the goal is to be a 5-star nomad. Someone whose life is full of adventures, doing exactly what you want and how you do it. We're in this this is the best time in the world, in the history of the world, to be alive. Everything you can do, everything you want to do, there's an app for it. It's a literally extraordinary time. So figure out what you want. Pull the trigger and say, I'm going to do that. And then make a plan to start it, this month or next month or the month after. When it comes to marketing, let's, growing your business, let's find an offer that we can deliver amazing value to people, but doesn't take a whole lot of time. We've got a simple sales process to take people from social media, engagement through to paying client. And all we need to do to get leads is to talk about the problems that people have and offer them a cool free thing. And then on the freedom side of things, let's put Spanx around your calendar, squish down the day so that you don't have to work harder or longer than you want to, and you can actually go out and sightsee or hang out with the locals or go to a party. Talk about your business, but have the backdrop of the amazing city you're in or country you're in or place you're in behind. And then finally, just squeeze the magic moments out of the whole trip, because that's take plenty of photos, but live it up, become a bit of a life artist. I think that's the goal. So Tanya, I don't know if this is useful, but it's been fun banging on about the lessons we've learned and the fun we've had. Love to check in and see how we.
Do you hear us? We are. There's just a couple of comments that came through in the feed that you missed. Do you have a few more,
cool.
bit of extra time? We're going to extra time here. Did you want to look up Marie 23 minutes ago?
Oh, let me scroll. How do I start my online business?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Hey, Marie, I'm sorry I missed it 23 minutes ago. I was too busy drawing triangles. How did I start my online business? Well, I found a group of people who I really liked who needed my help, is the short answer. Turns out they were business coaches. I love business coaches because they talk business, but they really care. And they're mostly doing it because they want to make a big impact. So I found a group of people who I wanted to be a hero to, and I figured out what their problems were. Most of their problems were, I don't have enough leads. I can't sell my stuff. And then later on when their business grows, it's like, I'm really, really busy. And so I just started talking to business coaches and helping them out. If you want the full honest answer, I used to work in this office. The dude downstairs was a business coach. I got a call one day from him saying, hey, Taki, I really need your help. I'm 30, he's a franchisee. I'm 30 grand in debt to head office in Las Vegas. I've signed a non-compete agreement, which is I can't, if I don't pay, I'm out on my own. Like I'm out of the company, but I'm not allowed to be a coach anymore, and coaching is who I am. And can you help me? It was 2 weeks before Christmas. He wanted to put on a workshop and put 50 people in at $1,000 a head. He only had 13 people on his database and no money to market with, so he was a bit screwed. And I just helped this guy out. Like, to be honest, I helped this guy for free. Now, we took him from the poorest coach in the franchise to number 2 in 87 days just by, I didn't know like a tenth. I didn't know 1% of what I know right now. I just helped this guy out. Guess what happened? He told all the other people in his network what happened and how it worked. And they reached out to me for help. And then it turned into this business kind of completely by accident. So I think the first thing is, let's identify a perfect future client, the kind of person you like to work with. Don't worry about getting the niche 100% right. You don't have to get married and commit the rest of your life to this niche, this perfect future client. We're just going to date for a little bit. Give it 90 days, and if it lands, keep it going. And if it doesn't, you've got good feedback and we'll figure out the rest thing. But the worst thing in the world is to spin your head, Marie, trying to get it right in your head instead of getting real market feedback. So how do you start? You have an idea about who you'd like to help. Then you do that 4 forces thing we talked about: fears, frustrations, wants, and aspirations. And then you just talk to some of them and say, hey, I'd love to get some feedback about your issues, and ask them about their frustrations and their fears and their wants and their aspirations. And then say, would you like some help? Marie, does that help?
Thank you. We have another question from a special listener who's not in Hopin. We're just getting Nick here to upload it into the chat.
Okay. While you do that, I'm just going to get a drink of my water. I went to the dentist 2 hours ago, like literally an hour before we started today. This whole half of my face was completely numb, and I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to talk, but it seems like it's worked out okay. All right. Looking for a question?
Yep. So it's actually from Jan de Jong.
Hey, Jan.
Yeah, and Jan is a speaker on Friday and the president of the Digital Nomad Association Croatia, and
amazing.
one of the people who championed getting the visa or permit for digital nomads to visit Croatia. So he's been listening, but he's just not on Hopin, and he says, how do you handle school for your 6 kids? Because Jan has 4.
Yeah, okay. So I think very well and pretty badly at the same time, to be honest, Jan. So to be super clear, there's 6 kids. It's really 3 and 3. So there's 3 young ones who were kind of school age and 3 older ones who are in their 20s at the time, and now kind of late 20s, and one's 30. So let's talk about the little ones. What we did was we switched to online school is what we did. And so we switched to online school. We found a school that felt good. And then for the first year and a half, we hired a Jan. I don't know if you're Dutch, but if you are, hey, we hired a Dutch primary school teacher who happened to be in Australia backpacking around to be our traveling kind of nanny/teacher. And she ran, online school for the kids. So basically kind of supervised and tutored and stuff for the first year and a half. And then one fateful day, it worked pretty well. The kids missed friends a little bit, to be honest. But they also developed friends all around the world. So Araha would like wake up in the morning. She'd check her, on the clock app on your phone. It's got like time zones all around the world. She'd go, oh, it's morning in Tokyo right now. Alina's coming online. Let's play with her. Or, hey, it's afternoon in San Francisco. I'll play with Jackie. So we kind of collected friends around the world and kind of she created like a little world squad. So we hired a nanny/tutor for the first year and a half. Then one fateful day, Kirima and I were flying to Tahiti, and Vera, the Dutch nanny, flew back to Australia with the kids. She'd overstayed her visa and applied for the wrong visa. She got stopped at the border. The kids went through customs and she never came out, and she got deported back to Holland. And it was terrifying. Luckily, my oldest son was there. So I can't say so he looked after him for a week. I can't say we've got this completely nailed. But I just want to say that all of the problems that you think about when it comes to going nomad are figure-outable. If I had my time again, I think I'd have a look at, I think it's called Prism. It's like an online learning platform that looks quite amazing, super kind of groundbreaking. I can't do it here in Australia because of the time zone. It's based around US Eastern time, I think, but I think it's super doable. We also had some very good help from Nick and Mahina on boats, tutoring every now and again as well. So we got by with a little help from our friends.
Thank you, Taki. And thanks for the question, Jan. I wonder if that's because Jan's now considering becoming a nomad, because he's used that as a reason for not being a nomad. So
yeah, don't. It's rubbish. Dude, I've got 6 kids. 2 of them have got, you know what, let me show you something. Check this out. I'm gonna share 30 seconds of something. Hopefully it's a little bit useful. Here we go. This here is Ethan, my son, about 8 years ago. He just had he's got cerebral palsy, had a big operation. It had gone horribly wrong. He was on morphine for 4 months in agony. He stopped breathing, and we're in hospital by his side for a long, long time. It was terrifying. So that was the before. So we deliberately built our business. Before we were nomading, we built our business to keep us free so we could spend 10 weeks in hospital when we needed to. Then I told you about this crazy plan that I drew at the taco shop. And Ethan's in a much, much healthier place now. But like, this is what it turned into. It turned into kids traveling around the world. This is in the Golden Triangle, kind of north of, that's the I think is the Mekong River. We're on Thailand here, and on the other side is Myanmar. Palawan in the Philippines. That's a Palawan. That's a Palawan. Bali. Ethan used to have this tube in his nose, doesn't anymore. So like we did it with a kid in a wheelchair, dude, and another girl with autism. We rode elephants. Elephants came very close and wanted snuggles. I just wanted to say, like, it's 100% doable. We've had so many memories. And it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't have just pulled the trigger. So honestly, I think like Nomad is the very best thing you could do in the whole world. And like, imagine being able to take your kids on a camel ride or whatever and run an amazing business. Like, what the hell are they going to learn in class that you know, we got in trouble once because the kids were a week late coming back from school, and they're like, oh, we're teaching about the reef. The coral reef. I'm like, okay, well, Jacques Cousteau's son, Jean-Michel Cousteau, has this resort in Fiji right on the Nomad Reef, and his marine biologist is out teaching the kids the reef right now. I don't think they're going to learn anything from a book that they're not learning in the real world right now. So Jan, just do it, dude. Just do it. It's the best thing you'll ever do. That's all I want to say.
That's great. So if you're going to shift into coaching families to become nomads, I think you've got your first client right there.
There you go. I'd happily give this away for free. It's just the best thing you could ever do. It's like show the kids the world. We partly did it because like the world felt really divided, if you've seen like the elections in the States, like it's super divided. There's lots of, reds and blues and whites and blacks and Jews and Arabs and lots of us's and thems. And we were like, man, this us and them thing is really bad. I want to take the kids around the world and have them meet the thems and realize they're the same as us. That was like part of the motivation. And like now kids have got just this really great ability to connect with anybody from anywhere in the world, regardless of background, because they've met the them and they're the same as us.
Great.
Pretty epic.
And just to recap, oh, hang on, there's a message from Jan. Thank you so much. I think he's speaking to his wife later. So out of 100 for nomads, how important is their online presence to achieve the goal to becoming a 5-star nomad? Maybe a comment on that before we wrap
How
up.
important is what?
Your online presence to become a 5-star nomad.
Oh, if you've got $1 million in the bank, you don't need an online presence. But if you don't, it's kind of important. And so I just want to say, it's the same as running a business from anywhere else, except you're doing it with an iPad on the back of a boat or in a coffee shop or on the back of a camel. I think, running an online business, building an online presence is super important. We've talked a little bit about how to do it today. But the whole point, frankly, is to do it in a way that funds your freedom and doesn't suck your life up.
Thank you. We are out of time. Taki has also kindly offered a speed mentoring session for someone. So what's the best way for them to connect with you? They could reach out on the chat and we could see when you're available with that.
Yep.
Actually,
you can reach out in the chat or you can send me a DM on Instagram at Taki Moore. I'd love to help.
Excellent. Okay.
Why don't we do it here in the event chat and then you guys can pick somebody.
That's right. Or if you're available, we could send you into a room now.
Of course. I'm happy to do it.
Oh, all right.
You're the boss, dude. I'm here to serve.
Who's there in the chat? I see Maya. I see Miro. Christy. If anyone wants to jump in now, you've got 10 seconds to decide. Otherwise, we'll line it up later, either by DMing Taki on Instagram or through this chat.
Yep.
3, 2... Come on, what was it? Nervous, fix nervous with service. Yeah. Okay, we'll find someone. And a big thank you from Barbara. And thank you from all of us.
Absolute pleasure.
Wrapping up, we are very inspired. I know you've inspired at least one Dutch guy. So I'm sure there'll be many more. Thanks again and see you when you're next in Croatia.
100%. I cannot wait to get back. Big love. Hey, ciao. I love that. I don't know how many people are off the stage, but 3 of them clapped very enthusiastically. Thank you to the 3 clappers. You did great.
See you, mate.